Maseches Bava Metzia. Maseches Bava Metzia Daf Kuf Beis Amud Aleph. Welcome to all of you here in Avas Shalom Bet Shemesh, and to people on Torah Anytime and on YouTube and in Kol HaLashon. All our viewers are welcome to join us for another beautiful piece of Gemara. We are learning now Bava Metzia Kuf Beis Amud Aleph. We are more or less in the middle of the page. I think, more or less in the middle of the page. Line starts with the word Hamishtameres. Ooh. And there is a Meisivi, Zevel, Mazel Tov. Yeah, we have a member here in the Shiur. His daughter got married last night. So happy. So the Shiur's Ilu Nishmas, Ovi Moiri Menachem Ben Akiva, Ruth Bas Sholem, Sor Bas Moishe, Henya Reisha Bas Elchonon Yitzchok, Rochel Bas Avrom, Lerefuas, Aviva Bas Dvora. Please daven for my aunt, Aviva Bas Dvora, and for Penina Chaya Bas Geula, Rochel, Hanan Batsima, Meisivi. The date today, by the way, the Hebrew date today is Chaf Aleph of, the 21st day of Av. Yeah, we've entered the third trimester of Av. Elul is coming soon. Yeah, Tu B'Av is behind us. Around the corner is Elul, so we know what the real date is. And we can actually start this year now. Meisivi. So what did we say yesterday? Yesterday we said B'Shem Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina that Kinen Chotzer means that a person's domain, a house, a chotzer, which is a courtyard or anything like that, once an object is there, the object is hefker, automatically the chotzer is koine, the chotzer kilu obtains it for you. Yeah, it could be chotzer mishum yad, mishum shlichus. The chotzer is like a person's hand or like the person's messenger. Automatically, your property works for you, so to speak, and purchases the goods for you. If they just fall, they come somehow into the chotzer. Chanina came and was mechadesh that can happen even shaloi midaitoi. Usually, when you want to be koine something to acquire halachically, you have to have it in mind. Yeah, if I accidentally by psik reisha was magbia something of hefker, even if hefker, and I had no intention to be koine it, and it can be proven, I'm not koine. I have to have it in mind. The mice is only the chitzonius. I have to have in my pnimius the real idea. By chotzer, that's not the case. Chotzer is automatic anyways. The chotzer works for you without you knowing. The chotzer is like your good broker in the stock market. You know, it just works and the things go up, hopefully, while you're sipping your coffee at home. So now, that's all very nice, but there are challenges regarding that. Before the challenges, when did Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina not say what he said? The chotzer she'ena mishtameres, right? Let's say the chotzer is a place where everybody can walk in and out, and they may. Such a chotzer, yeah, that is already not called that it's koine for you. It's not shomer for you. It's not doing the job for you because that chotzer is hefkervelt. Anybody can come in and out. Such a chotzer is not shomer, is not guarding it for you as a shliach, and therefore such a chotzer is not koine. That's one way of understanding it. Unless you're actually there and you're the shomer, yeah. Unless you're aware or you told people or you're involved. But if not involved, you're in a different place and the chotzer is not doing his job and you have no idea, it falls between the cracks, there's no kinyan. Meisivi. Oh, finally we get to the question. Says the following brisa. Zevel hayoytze minatanur umin ha-kiraim. First of all, we have zevel, which is not the manure of the animals, but rather ashes. Ashes that come out of the tanur and kiraim. Tanur and kiraim, but you know tanur is a conically shaped oven, and kiraim are like that, are straight and double usually. Yeah, they're not as hot. Tanur is hotter than kiraim. But tanur and kiraim, both of them basically cooking utensils. Yeah, the stovetop. And what? And there's ashes coming out at the end of the at the end of the process, at the end of the barbecue. So they belong to who? They belong to the soicher. If I rented a house with a tanur from a friend, even though other people may also use the tanur because it's a tanur for rent, if I'm the primary user, I'm the soicher, I'm the renter, it belongs to me, all the guk that comes out at the end, which is useful for all kinds of things. Yeah, it's useful for whatever, all types of other things. Now let's talk about real zevel, meaning of the cow, the stuff that comes out of a cow, which is a good fertilizer, the manure. A person took a cup, yeah, I'm not showing with my cup, and he collected the feces from the cow's body It's in the middle of making, and he's using it like a potty, under the cow's body, and the goes into the cup, okay, and he collected it from the avir, from the air. Harei elu, yeah, harei hu shaloi, they belong to who? To the soicher. In other words, let's assume right now that the chotzer was not rented out. In other words, when we say renter, he's the renter of the house, and he goes to the chotzer a lot. But officially, the chotzer was not rented out to him. The chotzer belongs to who? To Baal Habayis, the landlord. Okay? Everyone agrees, both Rambam and Rashi we saw yesterday, if it belongs to the Baal Habayis, and the cow came from nowhere, the cow came from a different property altogether, everyone agrees to that, belongs to Baal Chotzer. You even ask what's the Chiddush, where the Chiddush, right? The Baal Chotzer. However, if Mr. Soiche was quick enough, he was quick on the draw, and he took a cup, he took a bucket, and quickly took, before they landed on the ground, he took the stuff, the nice stuff, he collected it into the bag, then they belonged to him. Okay, why, what, where, to be discussed later. I'm just translating right now. There continues the Seifa, ושברפס ושבחוצר של בעל הבית. If the stuff, if the feces already hit the ground, either the ground in the refes, what's a refes? A cow shed. A cow shed. Refes is a cow shed. No, barn is a stam. No, refet is where the cows live. No, refet is a cow shed. Where the cows live. Refet is the house of the cow, so it's called a cow shed. No, whatever. It gets to the cow house. Bekitzer, refes, whatever. Yeah, I didn't grow in a refes. So Bekitzer, in the cow shed where the cows live in Cowsville, or in the chotzer, just in the open air, and now they hit the ground already, then they belong to Baal Habayis, because the refes and the chotzer belong to Baal Habayis. And so is the manure that fell in there. Okay. Now, before we discuss that, we right away have a question on who we're attacking Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina. Why? If Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina Isa, if it's true what he says, what did he say? If it's true that if a cow of, not hefker, the cow came from the outside world, what did we say is the opinion of the owner of the cow, Mr. Anonymous, regarding the zevel? He's mafkir. That's the accepted norm. As much as zevel is worth something, people don't run after the cows to collect the zevel if they go a kilometer away. If my cow goes somewhere else, let the zevel stay there. So now, if so, who is now the one who got the glolim, the feces of hefker, into his domain, even though he's not aware of it, because he's not there, because the soicher is there? The maskil. So now, wait a second. So if it's true that this feces should belong to who? Baal Chotzer. Who's that? The maskil. If so, koilet me'avir, the fact that Mr. Soicher, not the one he's Soicher of the house, but he's not Soicher here. He came and he collected from the air. Amai harei hu shaloi. Why does it belong to him? Because it's still in the air. It didn't hit the ground. So what? Avir chatzerayu. So what? The avir of the chotzer is like the chotzer. The airspace of the state of Israel. I don't know exactly how far it goes. Yeah, I know for military, right? Belongs to Israel, right? A foreign plane from Syria comes to Israel. They're not going to treat it nicely. In other words, the airspace of the chotzer is part of the chotzer. So if it's true what you say, Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina, that the chotzer of the Baal Habayis is coined to him, although he's not aware of it and it belongs to him, who cares whether it's on the ground or in the air? What kind of trick is that? In other words, once the glolim started falling from the body of the cow, and you hit them mid-air, and boom, you hit them and you caught them, you collected them mid-air. Excuse me, they've been in the air of who? Of Baal Habayis. He came before you. The air of his chotzer collected, absorbed halachically the glolim, the zevel, before you came with your smart move of the collection. So what's going on over here? Why does it belong to the one who collected with the cup? It should belong to the one who owns the air of the chotzer, which is Baal Chotzer. So that's the question. Omar Abaye, Machlokes Abaye and Rav, how to answer. Omar Abaye, b'madbik kli b'shulei poro. You have to make an ukimta. In other words, Enechnam, you're right. Conceptually, it's true. The air of the chotzer is like the chotzer. It's part of the deal. However, Mr. Smart Soicher, what did he do? he took the cup and stuck it to the place where the cow makes. In other words, there's no chance for the glolim to hit the air. He chapped it before it came into the air. Madbik, what's lahadbik? To stick. To stick. He stuck, he clung, he stuck the cup, straight to the body of the cow. Boom. To the it's not the others. It's not the others. The others, the milk comes. To the kitzer where the stuff comes out of. We won't get graphic over here. And the point is, Enochinami, he was so smart, he managed to avoid the glolim coming even for 1 second, coming into the air of the airspace of the chotzer. He just had the one up. He one-upped him, and he chapped it. Boom, up, right away. It's making straight into the cup before it's coming to the air. And then Enochinami. Otherwise, it wouldn't be his. Enochinami, you're right. Now that's Abai. Rove says no. Says Rove like this. Avir she'en soifoy lanuach lav kimunach dami, which means it's true that the airspace belongs to the Baal Karka conceptually, but there is a question here. There's a difference. Avir ein soifoy lanuach. If I know that, by gravity, the cow starts making what it's making. I had a nice supper yesterday. And now what it is making. Now, if it's going to hit the ground by the law of gravity, you can't defy the law of gravity, right? Then while it's in the air, it's already belonging to Baal Chotzer because eventually it will hit the ground. But the ground is the main place. The ground is the main place. Unlike the military of Israel, the ground is the main place. And if it's in the air and about to hit the ground, the gravity, it already belongs to Baal Chotzer. But if I'm a smart guy, and yes, I do defy the law of gravity halfway. Let's say there's 1 meter between the cow and the ground, and half a meter through, I put my stuff, and we know that the dung is not going to hit the ground. It's going to hit my cup. Then if it's in the air there, it does not belong to Baal Chotzer, because these glolim are never going to hit the ground. They will, in half a second, are going to hit my cup. Therefore, his air is irrelevant. I created my own autonomy within his air. And therefore, I'm the soicher, I'm the cup holder, and therefore belongs to me with my cup. 1 second. Frag the Gemara, is that so simple to Rove? Okay, nice idea, Rove, very nice along this, but does Rove himself really believe in that idea as a pshita, as a given fact? Rove didn't say maybe. Rove says, yeah, for sure. Now, Avir, which will never land, which will be stopped in the middle, doesn't belong to Baal Habayis. Is that so simple to Rove? Rove himself had the same question of Avir, which is not soifoy lanuach, which will not land on the floor. Rove posed that as a question in the very, very beginning of the Masechta, around Yud Aleph, I think, the first parak. Rove has a question about it, and here Rove says it is a given. Does Rove view that concept of it's in the air but will never hit the ground? Does he believe that that's not air for sure, the way he talks here? Or does he think it's a question like he spoke in a different place? The boy Rove, I'll show you. The Rove sees it as a question. Rove asks the question. What happens if I am a very generous guy for whichever reason? I want to be mafkir, not mafkid, but mafkir my arnak. A nice whatever wallet, pouch full of money, yahaloimim, margolios, and dollars. And let's say I throw and I say hefker. As kids, we used to do it in cheder. Hefker. Kid would collect gogoim, not gogoim, adrim. The thing. No, you don't know the apricot. The pit of the apricot is very, very, very valuable by kids in Israel. Absolutely. So the kids at the apricot pits, the gogoim. So if somebody would get generous or would get tired of business and would go to do something else, or he had a sichsuch with his partner, he would just say hefker on the whole gogoim, and everyone would run like crazy to have the gogoim. So a person wants to be mafkir the gogoim or the money, whatever he has, he takes the bag and he throws it into someone's house. However, that person's house has one window on the east, one window on the west, exactly parallel one to the other, and the person hits, basically, flies, he hits it, and he, with a wave of his hand, the arnak, the wallet, does defy what? The gravity, because of what's the other force? Recessive, right? Because of the other, Bekitzer, he gave it a very big blow, and the thing is flying through someone's house from the east to the west and does not land in the house. It landed somewhere else in the street. Now comes the Baal Abais and says, hey, Kinyan Chotzer, your Arnak with $100,000, not with Gogoim, came through my house, and it flew through my house from east to the west without hitting the ground because your blow was stronger than the gravity. It's mine because it was for a few seconds. It was within the airspace of my house. That's what I learned in Cheder. So says Rava, it's a question. Rava says, I don't know. It's a question. And Rava asks the question again. I'm repeating again. The boy Rava, Zorok Arniki bepetach zeh. He threw the arnak through one window, let's say. The yotzto bepesach zeh. He went through the other door. Yeah, like you talk to some people, it goes through one ear, goes out through the other. So that would happen to the arnak without landing, without being able to land because the force was too strong. Now, what's the halacha there? Do we say avir she'ein soif bo lanuach kimunach dami? Although again, this is avir, air that is not going to rest, meaning the object is not going to rest because the blow was very strong. Do we still view it as if it's on the floor? Yeah. Do we still say lamaisa? It's in the ground. It's on the ground, above ground. So it's showing in the air, and he is the owner. The house owner is the owner of the arnak. He was going there. Or maybe it's not. So what Rava sees there is a question here when it comes to the person holding the cup under the cow's body. Then we say Rava said, no, for sure the air doesn't know. For sure it doesn't belong. There's no kin in chotzer. What's the difference? Why is it that over there, when he hit it through and through, Rava says maybe belongs to Baal Chotzer, maybe not. And when you hold the cup under the cow to collect it before it falls, then we say that for sure does not belong to Baal Chotzer. What's the difference? Here Rava is certain. Bori v'shema. Rava is the Bori v'shema. Here's the Bori and here's the Shema. Answers the Gemara. The answer is quite simple. I'm just translating. You'll tell me the pshat. I'm just translating. Hasam loy mifsak v'loy midi. Over there was no object that stopped or interrupted between the flying object and the floor, right? It was just a matter of physics. But there's no other person's object that was disturbing it and was there to collect it. The airspace was free, and be'etzem, gravity could have taken hold of it any second and boom, on the floor. And over there, there's a tzad to say that kind of being chapped in airspace is a good kinyan chotzer, at least as a tzad, as a question. Ocho mifsak kli. Over here, no. Over here, there's mamish, it's falling this way, not that way, right? It's falling from the cow's body in its trajectory to the floor. And in the middle, we already see what's happening. The guy chapped quickly and placed the object. That is much worse because here, for sure, it's not going to land. And there's actually an object that's underneath. In other words, we can say that the airspace, that's the way I understand it. You're free to say what you think. But the airspace here, in the case of the empty airspace, there's nothing that stops between the object and the floor. The floor, Ki'ilu, takes hold of the entire room. Why is the airspace of Israel the airspace of Israel? Because of the ground. It starts from the ground. Whichever airspace we have up until a certain point belongs to us, right? And not to Syria or Lebanon. That's because of the ground. Baluya Tsuya, another country, some of them would have another country in the middle, on the floor, on the ground, then the airspace would belong to them, obviously. So therefore, when you have a cup underneath over here, under the cow's dung, and it's falling in, then the airspace was mamish physically interrupted by another airspace from another area, from another ownership. That's much worse. The shaken over there, it's flying freely. The laws of physics tell you that the recessive whatever wins over, etc. But lemaisa mitzad the air, nothing real stops it. There's nothing real that stops between the chotzer ground and the air. So the air does belong to the ground. All one big happy family, or at least we have such a tzad to say it's all one big domain, and the air is koine to the ground owner, at least as a tzad. The shaken over here, certainly not, because you have a real physical thing that's underneath, that's a foreign body underneath the dung. Kach ze apshat nireli. Okay, the seder. So basically, Chanina so far came out with flying colors. And again, let's just repeat: chotzer is koine for the person without his knowledge. Why? Because the chotzer works for you as long as it's mishtameres. Says Rabbi Yosef B'Chanina. Chotzer, it's like a robot. Your robot works for you, your machine works for you, your air conditioner works for you. Automatically, so does your chotzer. Begadol, that's it. You wanted to ask something, or just I thought you did? Yes. Let me explain Rav better for you. Rav is opposed to Abaye. Abaye, you remember Abaye? He says you only coin it because you stuck it to the cow's body. Otherwise, in Chanami, airspace is holy according to Abaye, meaning for sure airspace belongs to Baal Chotzer, whatever happens. Back, forth, vertical, horizontal, with or without interference. That's Abaye. Very nice. Says Rav, no. I think Avir is koine only because it's about to fall into the ground. Already now it's koine. Look, we have the concept of if something is about to happen, it will happen. Remember the question recently about fruit that are very, very ripe, don't need the ground? We look at them in Chosh and Mishpat as if they're already off the ground. It's almost always there. Yeah. When you have a nice passport and a nice airline ticket and you're a legal guy and you're already on your way in the sleeve in the airport, you're already in America. No, you're already almost there. Nothing's going to stop you, right? That's the idea of Rava. If you know that really it's in the air and about to fall into the ground, it's still already on the ground. But the ground is the main player here. Therefore, if you interfere, and now we know it's not going to fall into the ground, it's going to fall into Reuven's cup. It belongs to Reuven. That's simple. Weiter. Let's continue. Now, continues the Gemara to quote the last part of the Brisa. We'll still talk about a place that belongs to Baal Bayis. We say that if either the refes, the cowshed, the barn, or the chotzer, which is stam, an open area, courtyard, and the cow did what it did, boom, on the floor, and it's on the floor, that belongs to Baal Bayis. Fact the Gemara, tarti. Why? According to Rashi, tarti doesn't mean a stira. Means why do you have to repeat the same thing twice? What's tarti? Two. Why do you have to talk about two things? Give me two examples. One, the cowshed, and the chotzer. It's the same thing. Who cares? Why don't you talk also about 5 other places? Omar Abaye, Achiko Omar. Abaye explains the Brisa. This is what the Brisa says. V'sheberefes shebechotzer harelu shel Baal Bayis. Ay. This chotzer, my friends, was rented to the renter. Not just the house. The chotzer was rented to the renter, and the cowshed, the refes, which is in the middle of the chotzer, was not discussed. Nobody spoke about the refes. One could argue and say, wait a second, if I got from you a whole, like you say, a barn, I got from you a whole farm with, the chotzer and this and that, maybe the refes is tofel. The cowshed is not a house, it's not a chosh of a place, it's just cowshed. Maybe automatically it's part of the deal and it's rented together with the chotzer. Says the Brisa, no. If anything falls into the refes that's in the chotzer was rented out specifically, and the cowshed in it wasn't, then the cowshed, the refes, is not included. And therefore, anything that falls there in the dung or anything that falls over there does not belong to the renter because simply he's not the renter. That's why. Not true at all. I just explained to you why not. Because Havamina would be Shane. I would say, of course, you have a chotzer. You want to make it to me more balabati? She has 3 acres of chotzer. Imagine yourself upstate New York, I don't know, some kind of very big farm, okay? And there's a kleiner refes in the middle. One could argue, listen, I'm a farmer, and if you rented me the chotzer, maybe the refes is automatically rented as well. Havamina, yes. Kamash Malan, we don't say that. A refes in the chotzer, and the refes wasn't rented, and the chotzer was rented, the refes is not included. And the way we actually express it is by saying what? Is by saying that if the tsoya, if the glolim fell into that refes that belonged to Baal refes, what's the chiddush? The chiddush is that he is Baal refes. The chiddush is that he's called the cow owner, the cowshed owner, because he only rented out the chotzer and not the refes, and therefore anything that falls in the chotzer, in the refes, belongs to him. In other words, I don't think I explained the main thing. I'm sorry. In other words, the version is not refes v'chotzer, 2 separate things. That wouldn't be a chiddush. It's refes b'chotzer. Instead of vav, we put a base. The refes that's in the chotzer, anything that falls there belongs to Baal Bayis. What's the chiddush? He didn't rent out the refes. That's the chiddush. That we don't say that the refes is automatically rented together with the rest of the area around it. And you need a separate contract for that. That's a chiddush. Weiter. Omar Avashi. Excuse me. The Gemara speaks it out better than me. Omar Avashi is oisomeres. That is to say, Amaskir Chatzer Oistam Lo Hiskir Refes Shabo. A person who's maskir the chotzer stam. What's stam? I rent out the chotzer without specifying one area over the other. What does it say in the rental contract? Chotzer. Ah, in the chotzer there's a reference. One could say, hey, chotzer v'chol asher ba. Yomi v'chol asher bohem. A chotzer and all that's in it. It's not a palace, just a klein reference. It's included. Kamash malan, it's not included. That's a chiddush. Weiter to the next sugya, which is to do again with Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina. Okay, what did Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina say? Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina said that a person's chotzer obtains things for him even without his knowledge. I wasn't saying against his will, that's a question, but without his knowledge. Before we continue, let's have a quick revision for a parsha we're going to read in a few weeks' time about shiluach haken. Shiluach haken, shiluach hakan. What's the halach of shiluach haken? Shiluach haken tells me, in general, that if you see ki koreh kan tzipor lefanecha b'derech al choletz al haaretz, you find a nest, a bird's nest on the tree, on the floor, on the ground, not in the water and not in the air. You find it in normal places, and then what? And you want the eggs that she's sitting on, or the froichim, the chicks. What do? You should make the bird shoo away the mother, and then take the babies. Don't take the babies while the mother's watching, but rather shoo it away with a stick or something, and then take the babies, take the beitzim or the froichim, and that's the general, idea of the mitzvah. Now, before we continue, I'll save you some work later. Let me ask you a question. What happens, and it happens quite often in this country, maybe in other countries too, you have doves, pigeons, whatever you call them, they come to your merpeset, they come to your window, and they nestle there. Can you do shiluach haken? And not so simple. What? Why do you have to be mafkir? Very nice, true. Because it says ki koreh kan tzipor lefanecha. Ki koreh means if it like asher korcha b'derech, if it happens upon you, if you happen to find something, meaning it's not yours. You found somewhere. I don't find my own watch; it's on my hand. Yeah, something that is in my house, owned by me and belongs to me, and I know where it is. That's not called yikore, like I happen upon it. Yeah. And therefore, in such so one condition for kinyan for not kinyan for shiluach haken is not to have a kinyan, is that it shouldn't belong to me, even if it's in my area. It doesn't belong to me. That's what people do hefker over the area, and then they can do shiluach haken. They say it's a very big school to have children. Arichos Yomi, it says mufurish. Arichos Yomi is mufurish in the Torah. It's not. And also for no childless couples, they do that a lot. Apparently, it's a big skula. Beseder. Meisivi says the Brisa, and this is the question now which attacks Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina again. Yoini shoivach v'yoini aliyah. Who are yoini shoivach v'yoini aliyah? Some people, they just breed the pigeons and they live with them. It's a pet that's there almost 24/7. That's not the yoini we talk about. Yoini shoivach v'yoini aliyah. Literally, the pigeons that live in the coop, yeah, in the dovecot, and or in the aliyah in the second floor, they are not residents all the time. They are like people who live in, Ramat Beit Shemesh the entire day. They're working in Tel Aviv, Yerushalayim. They come home to the dormitory. In other words, the yoini shavach v'yoini aliyah are yoinim that live in the wilderness outside all day long. At night, they come and they sleep in the area, in the farm, in the person's property. Now, everyone would agree, before we continue, to avoid issues now, as of now, there's no kinyan chotzer there. Even according to Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina. Why not? Why would Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina say that this dove does not belong to me? I didn't buy it from anywhere, and it's not mine. It comes to my chotzer. Why doesn't it belong to me, even according to him? The bird itself, is it mishtameres? No, it flies away. And if it wants to, it's going to find another ken, a nicer one in a different area, in another farm. It's going to go there. Only in the Yerushalayim Zoo, they have the bird area, which is caged on top. But most places don't have a cage on top, right? And therefore, there's no cage on top of the farm, and there's no overhead cage. And therefore, what? The birds can fly as they wish, in and out, fly by night. Therefore, the bird, midoraisa, doesn't belong to the person. Oh, very nice. Let me introduce you more introduction. What about the eggs? It laid there, Mazel Tov, the birdie came from the outside world. It flies in and out. Mazel Tov, it laid a few eggs already. I don't know, 4 or 5 eggs, and it's sitting on them. The eggs, they're going to stay there for, I don't know, long. I'm not such a mumcha, for a few days at least. It's going to stay there. I think sometimes even longer. Oh, so then, according to Beis Bechanina, the eggs, I mean, eventually they're going to hatch and fly. But for a nice amount of time, they can't fly. They're eggs. And therefore, according to Beis Bechanina, those eggs should belong to the owner. Mainly the mother, she is the teenagers running in and out of control. But the birds, no, the eggs, they stay there, they're stationary. According to Beis Bechanina, they came from nowhere. I don't know about it. I do know about it. Not necessarily, I'm not in touch, but they belong to me automatically, right? Okay, that's introduction. Meisivi. Now let's start see the Brisa and how we challenge Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina. Those dormitory birds, chayavis b'shiluach, the chayim b'shiluach haken. Let's say I'm a guy from the outside, I'm not the owner, and I want to take those nice eggs. I have to shoo away the mother, yeah, do shiluach haken before I take the eggs. The asuras begezel mipnei darkei shalom. What does it mean chayavis b'shiluach? What's the chiddush that chayavis b'shiluach haken? Because we say, the first thing first. Why the chayavis b'shiluach? Yeah, or let's say it's even the owner himself. Why the chayav b'shiluach? Because a bird that's owned by someone, there's no shiluach haken. This bird is not owned by anybody, right? The bird is not owned by anybody because it's a fly-by-night bird, in and out. It doesn't belong to him. And therefore what? If I want to have the eggs, I should really shoo away the bird because it's. So we say there is a trick here. I don't know if you noticed, there's a red herring here, but this is how we read the Brisa. What's the second part of the Brisa? Those eggs, yeah, they don't really belong to the owner. Why shall I, someone who's not the farm owner, why can I take them? Because of darkei shalom. What's darkei shalom? To keep the peace. Let me keep the peace. This guy thinks that they belong to him. People tend to think erroneously so that because the bird comes in and out, they say, it's my bird. Looks, it comes to my house every night. Tomorrow it can fly somewhere else. 90% of the time it's somewhere else. Yeah, but people are possessive. And that guy who sees the bird coming every night back again, he views it as his bird. So be nice to him. No, al tiyeh tzodek tiyeh chacham. Yeah, don't be right, be smart. Let him stay with it because of the darkei shalom. Wait a second. There's a huge flaw here. Fragmenting our first wide line. The im isalodom Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina. If Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina is right by saying chatzel shalodom koineloi shaloi midaitoi, if really it's true, a person's chatzel is koine without his knowledge. Wait a second. Leave the mommy alone for a second. Look, let the camera focus on the stationary eggs. They're not flying anywhere. They came to his nest without his knowledge. It's up there, and he didn't see, let's say. So what? Who do they belong to according to Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina? Him. The 100%, million% belonging to him. If so, we have two questions. One question is mentioned in the Gemara, one in Tosfos. Krikan ki kore prat lemezuman. Why are you telling me in the Reisha that it's chayav b'shiluach haken? It shouldn't be chayav b'shiluach haken. Because for shiluach haken, my friends, mark my words, both bird and mother bird and the eggs should be hefker. This is not hefker. It's not hefker. Yeah, it is kikore. Kikore prat lemezuman. When it's in the street or hefker, then I do shiluach haken. But those eggs that are there, even if he doesn't know about them, but they're here to stay for a few days or weeks, and therefore what? They should belong to the owner of the farm, to the owner. And therefore, why are you saying there's shiluach haken? There's no shiluach haken. The private bird, the private eggs. If he doesn't know about, who cares? He doesn't know. That's all Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina. Tosfos points out, and I don't want to go into Tosfos now, but Tosfos points out we could have also asked from the Sefer. In the Sefer would say why darkei shalom. It's only because of darkei shalom you don't touch the eggs. Mapitom. It's not darkei shalom. It's real gezel. It's not a gezel derbanan. Be nice and friendly. No, it's really gezel because those eggs are jolly well belonging to the owner of the farm because they're there to stay for a good few days and not flying every second. And the eye doesn't know about them. Thank you. That's Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina. Then even if you don't know, your chotzer belongs to you. Tosfos has another answer, but I'm not going to that now. Yeah, shalom daito krikan. Let's continue the question. Ki kore. It says ki kore if it happens, if you hit it, if you happen upon it, ratle mizuman. And this is not mizuman means what? Not mizuman. Mizuman means if it's owned by someone, if it's already found and ready. This is not ready. Yeah, but here, according to Yossi Bachanina, yeah, it is ready. It does belong to him. And therefore, shiluach haken should not apply. What do you say shiluach haken applies? Question, challenge of Yossi Bachanina. Omarove, yeah, Omarove. Answers Rov, there are two answers. Answers number one. Omarove. Beitza, the egg, now we have to really look with a microscopic lens into what happens inside the bird's nest. Beitza, the egg, Metzia Seruba, once the egg is once the roiv, the majority of the egg left the body of the animal, of the bird, before that thud, before it fell on the nest, that stage, like a National Geographic, you look at the egg as it's coming out. Shiluach again applies before it hits the ground and before it even fully hits the air. In other words, when it's still attached to the bird's body, but most of it is out, if you want to take the egg at that stage, you're very greedy and very rushing, you want your omelet right now, you want to chop it now? No, you already have to do shiluach haken. So it's two separate stages. In order to do shiluach haken, you mechur b'shiluach haken before it hit the area, before it hit the chotzer. In other words, there are two separate stories here. It's chayiv already before it belongs to him, right? And then it belongs to him. When it falls into the air, onto the ground, whatever, then it has kin and chotzer. So why do you say cha b'shiluach haken? I'll tell you why. Very good. It's like nakim leb the rabba minei. We look at what's before, what's after, with a difference of seconds. Let me explain. Why did we think there's no shiluach haken? It's owned. Anything owned by Reuven, there's no shiluach haken, neither to Reuven nor to Shimon, right? It's owned, privately owned birds, no shiluach haken. That egg, that 2 seconds, or I don't know how long, between coming out of the body and falling onto the ground, onto the nest, yeah, at that moment when it's still attached to the mother's body, shiluach haken applies. You say it belongs to someone, it doesn't yet belong to him. It doesn't yet belong. Whoa, one second. True, Rabbi Yossi Bachanina is right. Once it falls into the nest, or maybe even mid-air, Lamaisa already belongs to Baal Habais, and there's no shiluach haken. But shiluach haken that we apply here is in that second before it hits the air fully. It's still chetzi or quarter in the mother's body. Then shiluach haken applies. And chinami, once it falls into the can, then chinami to the nest. Then there's no shiluach haken. Nachon, no question. Good, happy, say that. Frag the Gemara. What? There's no chance to what? No, I meant leaving. Yeah, whatever. But he's coming out of her body. I meant when it's leaving its body. Yeah. Now, okay. Yeah, Abaye said it. Not exactly. Even Abaye speaks about a case before. People here juxtapose the two things. Before, in Zabai and Rava spoke about dung that's completely in the air, out of the body. Sabai says you have to catch it before it comes into contact with the outside air, and Rava says you can put it below. Here we talk about an egg that did not leave the body completely. It's not the same. Weiter. Now, okay. Ihochi, frag the Gemara, we are in the last part of the very wide line. If so, amai asus mishum gezel, meaning if those eggs, and not only didn't hit the ground, they're not even fully in the air. Why do you say there's the gezel because of midarabonon? There's the gezel mipnei darke shalom. Because be nice to him. He thinks it belongs to him, so leave it with him. He's like a child. Let him, have it. Why? Everybody knows that if the egg is actually still not in the air, it's still partially attached to the mother, then of course, or partially in the body of the mother, everybody knows it doesn't yet belong to him. It didn't even come to the air of his chotzer, let alone the ground. Why would he think so foolish that it belongs to him? And I have to be careful because of his idea that he thinks it belongs to him. He doesn't think it belongs to him. And says the Gemara, Iman. He talks about the mother. And the eggs before they left the body, mitzad gezel, you're allowed to take them. There could be another issue of shiluach haken. Do shiluach haken while the bird didn't yet finish giving birth or laying eggs, and then take the egg. There's no problem of what? Of it's still hefker, all very good. But she'enken, the mother herself, you cannot take, because the mother, she comes in and out every day, in, out, in, out, in, out. But there's also a lot of in coming in at night. So he thinks the mother belongs to him. The mother is the one shouldn't be taken because of a gezel derabbanan. Another answer, I don't know, from Rava, not from Rava. Ema, la'olam abeitzim. Really, even darkish shalom, not to steal because he thinks it belongs to him, applies to the eggs. But in nafi kruba, daite iluya. Once the egg is mostly out, since let's say 60-70% of the egg was already exposed to the world's air, to the out there world, he already thinks, this egg is going to fall to me, and I'm fantasizing on my next nice omelet tomorrow for breakfast. He also thinks it's already belonging to him because it's about to fall to him. Therefore, with Durabanan, don't steal from him the egg. Now comes the Gemara with a very interesting conclusion. The Hashta, now we're going to have another answer on the whole thing. The Hashta, now we have new information. Many times the Gemara gives an answer and says, the Hashta, now that we have something new, the Hashta, now that we have a new piece of information, everything will be settled down even easier. Hashta Doma of Yudoma Rav, Rav Yudah quoting Rav saying, Rav says something which I think we all know by now. Also, Lizgois bebeitzim, Kozman Shem Rovetzes Aleim. A person is not allowed to take the eggs as long as the mother is sitting on them, incubating, sitting on them. What's the chiddush? Shneimar, it says, Shalech teshalach Yisrael. First, show away the mother. V'hadar esabonim tikach lach. Then take the children. What's the chiddush? It's a first pasuk. The chiddush is, I saw in Rashi in Chulin, he says at the end of Chulin, there are two chiddushim. First of all, a chicken lay, whatever, a dove, whoever, only kosher birds, by the way. You know, shiluach can only apply to kosher birds, yeah? So now, the kosher bird is laying one, I don't know many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 eggs, yeah? Let's say it laid the first egg, and you can see it's about to lay another egg. So you still have to wait until it laid all the eggs, and only then you do shiluach haken and you take, yeah? You can't take egg number 1 as long as egg number, let's say 5, is about to be born, okay, be laid. And secondly, also, as long as the mother didn't leave them one time, it sort of laid and then stays there for a long time, and he never flew out of the nest before, yeah, since birth. It's like the mother is still in hospital since birth, yeah, for the first 2 days. So it's still sitting on them. In that situation, shiluach haken applies. You're not allowed to touch the babies. You're allowed to do shiluach haken. You have to do shiluach haken. Wait until they're all born. Do shiluach haken. I don't know if that's a halacha l'maisa, by the way, but that's what I saw in Chulin. Ask your Rav. My son-in-law's brother is a very, very, very gmumuk shiluach haken. That's his whole life. I don't know. Yeah. The others for him, and he's mamash big mumch. So I'm not a mumcha, but the kids are. We all know that you can't touch the eggs at some point until you shoo away the mother. Then you take the eggs. Once we say that, that is a great solution. How we answer Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina. Even if you say that the eggs were fully laid and they're sitting on the chotzer, on the ground, on the nest, whatever, and the mother is sitting on them, if they still don't belong to the owner of the chotzer, even according to Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina. Why? Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina said that what? Anything that comes from anywhere belongs to me, even if I don't know. No. There's a halachic barrier here. You tell me. The Baal Chotzer, the big boss over here, can he take the beitzim without shooing away the mother? No. So right now, as long as the mother wasn't shooed away, right, then he's not allowed to take them. What? True, including him. Whenever he can take them without the halachic technical barrier of the mother, then let's say it wouldn't be his. Let's say it wouldn't be his own chotzer, right? Am I allowed to take the eggs, snatch them under the mother's body? Really? Let's say even if it doesn't belong, of course not, right? They have to show away the mother. So the way it is right now, if I take a photo of the mother and the birds, on the eggs, I can't take the eggs. In any situation that he himself would be able to take it by kinyan agbo, meshicha, taking it away, then the chotzer is also zoiche, meaning if the mother will be shooed away, then just like he can take them, so too the chotzer is koine for him. Meaning, once he shoos away the mother, automatically the chotzer will be koine. But as long as the mother wasn't shooed away and there was no shiluach, he himself is not allowed to take it. Is he allowed to snatch it from underneath? No, not kinyan hagba, not kinyan shicha, not kinyan sud, whatever, anything. Chatzera nami lo zachile. The chotzer nami is not zachas. That's why it's not his. Very good. In other words, those eggs do not belong to him. And therefore, what? Shiluach haken does apply to other people. Very nice. Why? Even to him, shiluach haken applies. Because it's not his. You know why it's not his? Precisely because the egg, the bird is sitting there. Yeah, not like the minute today. Today you have to say it to be mafkir. Maybe after the mother flew away one time. I don't know the halacha l'maisa. But that's what it says over here. The mere fact the mother is there and halachically it's blocked away from you, there's a moinea hilchati, mimela ha gufa, that's why the eggs don't belong to you. Mimela, if they don't belong to you, they're hefker. If they're hefker, there's shiluach haken. That explains the ratio. Shiluach haken applies. Even for Bechanina. Frag the Gemara, Yochi, wait. Asuras begezel mipnei darkei sholem? What kind of story is that? We said, you're allowed to shoo away the mother and take the eggs, but don't do that. No, why? The Rabbanon, keep the peace, be nice. He thinks it belongs to him. The Rabbanon, there is gezel, so don't take away the eggs. Wait a second. Why is there the Rabbanon? Frag the Gemara, it's either or. Eat the sholcha. If, let's say I'm Akiva, and the owner of the place is Reuven, the farmer, Reuven thinks that it's his. He can think a lot of things. So I cannot do shiluach haken and take his things, even though it's not really his. Wait a second. Because shalcha, if I did shiluach haken, what happens once shiluach haken was done? The halachic barrier was removed, and then the eggs really belong to him in the Horaisa, according to Resi Bechanina, because that halachic problem was resolved. Gezel ma'aliu. It's a gezel d'oraisa according to Resi Bechanina, not the Rabbanon. Ideloi sholcha who, by ideloi sholcha habai shlucha. And if I took the eggs without doing shiluach haken, and that's why the eggs don't really belong to him, then I'm over an avera of no shiluach haken, right? Yeah. So it's also to do anyways. Oh, but we are discussing. The Chibir Shiat Kinan. The Chibir Shiat Kinan. To answer the Gemara, similar to you, the Koton the Labal Shiluachu. Very nice. We're talking about a person who is below bar mitzvah, and therefore that person is not Chai b'mitzvahs d'oraisa. Don't talk to me about chinuch now. It's ben azmanim. Yeah. In other words, yeah, we're talking here outside chinuch. We're talking d'oraisa level. A Koton which is below bar mitzvah, not gil chinuch, not whatever. Let's say less than chinuch. Then what? He can take it. And that's Ukimta and Chinami. He snatched the eggs under the mother. Mitzad shiluach haken. He's not chab shiluach haken. He's below bar mitzvah. Chinuch shminuch. His father's not around. Elamai. Mitzad shiluach haken. Not mechuyev. True. Elamai. Mitzad gezel will tell him, no, listen. Although the eggs don't belong to the owner of the place, because the owner himself is the gadol, and he's not allowed to take those eggs because the mother is on them, and therefore the chotzer wasn't going to him. Aliba de'emes yurat yingale pitzkale. He's one of those very smart kids, and he knows all the halachas. Very nice. But lemaisem, the rabbanon, because of dark shalom, we tell the pitzkale, don't take away the eggs, because that uncle over there thinks that the eggs belong to him, even though they're not really belonging to him, because he is mechuyev in shiluach haken, which wasn't yet done, and they're not yet his because of shiluach haken. A cotton is bardak shalom. As much as the cotton is allowed to do kol averes shabbatayra, I mean, up to a point, yeah, a cotton is mechuyev in dark shalom. A cotton is mimanafshach. If it's mufka for mitzvah, so give a break to the little kid, and allow him to take also. Answers the Gemara, no, the little kid has a father with a credit card. Achikam, that it says, aviv shel cotton chayv lachzil mipnei dark shalom. As we know, the father has to clean the mess of the children. Science fiction. In other words, what we say that if the cotton took it, then the cotton himself, what do you want? But if the cotton took away the eggs and Mr. I think I'm the egg owner, although he's not, comes all angry, The father is mechuyev to give back to the money or the eggs, whatever. He has to give something back to the Baal Beitzim because of Dark Shalom, because the adult is responsible, which is a big chiddush, by the way, because in Ezekiel Mikra you're not mechuyev when you're in child's Ezekiel. So I have a bit of a question here, but we'll leave that at that. A question from Yosef. Yes. Thank you very much, everybody. We did only half a page, but I hope we did it well. And thank you very much. Atzlocha. See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Tomorrow Chav Beis Av. And thank you very much to everybody here in Avos Shalom, everybody on YouTube. Torah Anytime, Kol Lashon. Thank you and have a great day full of Torah and mitzvahs.